Don't Give Up Your Day Job, a local musician's guide. By me, Paul Gillings. An educational and sometimes humorous look at what it's like to be part of the local music scene. Hello and welcome to another edition of Don't Give Up Your Day Job, a podcast to help local musicians survive on your local music scene. And I'm joined today by a rather excellent singer-songwriter, guitarist, musician, and mainstay of my particular music scene and my area for quite some time now, managing to keep it real and keep it going good, Mr. Richard Trigg. Hello, mate. Nice to see you.
Hey, yeah, good to see you. Good to be here.
Thanks for coming along.
Well, an intro. I mean, less of the singer. I mean, if you heard me sing, I mean, I do try.
Yeah.
In recent years, well, last 10 years. Mm-hmm. I make a point of not having a microphone because I can ruin the greatest of gigs, not by singing, by talking. Which
okay,
is,
so the song intros and stuff like that.
Oh, you don't want to know. I mean,
I've done it myself. After a few beers, I will sort of get on there and go, "Well, gotta watch it."
Man, yeah. In fact, the guys in See-Through I play with would tell you. Don't let them have a microphone.
Okay. Well, as you have a microphone in front of you now,
yes.
Feel free. This is a safe space. Feel free to say whatever you like.
Okay. But, I won't be telling you to fuck off if you don't like it.
That's fine. It's all right. Mr. John Peach dropped the first F-bomb on the old on the podcast, so it's all good.
Nice.
Mate, so would you mind telling us a little bit about what it is you're up to musically and stuff like that lately? And I know we've only recently met, but just for a bit of synergy and stuff, how we know each other as well, please, buddy. So what is it you're doing musically?
Okay, so 2020. Oh, is it 2020? It was 2020.
It's 2022 now, but
yeah. No, I'm backtracking. The last two years have kind of sort of blended into a weird kind of time frame, for me. Just the COVID thing. Yeah, 2020. Wasn't doing anything playing wise musically. I had been doing some session work with a guy who I used to play with, Adam, and a guy I play with in See-Through, Liam. We were kind of session musicians for him, his live project, which was fine, but it was kind of very sporadic. There wasn't a lot of it. It kind of dwindled out. He'd moved up north, and so I wasn't doing a lot in terms of playing. Work-wise, I was working music. I was out touring, guitar teching and stage managing, doing all that kind of stuff, usual stuff. So I kind of fulfilled...
You say usual stuff, but this is a podcast about giving up your day job to be a musician, and it sounds to me like a little bit you're living the dream there. Are you allowed to tell us who you were guitar teching?
Yeah, a guitar tech for a bunch of OAPs these days, really, but they're ace. They're some of the best humans that I've ever met in my life, really, and really changed the way that I'm able to be. No, that's wrong. They've changed the way that I think about working and earning a living from music and being creative in music as well.
That's massive. That's huge.
Yeah. So they're a band called A. Just the letter A. Originally from round this way a long time ago.
Yeah. They were a big local band. One of the people that went off and made it, I think.
Yeah.
That's what they considered to have done.
So I guitar tech for Mark, and who still lives in Raiden, actually.
Fabulous.
And I do bass tech as well. And there's a guy called Tim who plays for them at the moment, who was in Architects and left Architects a few years ago to do his own thing, but now plays bass. So I basically do the strings in that band, and I stage manage and sort of co-tour manage them. So
amazing,
kind of full on and
amazing,
yeah. And I also the twins who are in the band, Adam and Jason.
In that band.
They also do a lot of sort of event promotion. They're kind of music entrepreneurs. So I've done things with them before. We used to run a company called Band App, which was to enable people to be able to create their own apps. We're talking 2012 kind of era.
Yeah.
They're kind of, they push for being creative in that business realm of music. So I've done things for them before, and then they've kind of moved into a lot of event kind of stuff. So I ended up kind of stage managing a few of their events and helping promote them events. So the most recent one we've done was it was called Weekend in the Park, but it was down in Southend, and that was McFly, Scouting for Girls, Stereo MCs.
Awesome. I saw Stereo MCs at Glastonbury. I don't know if it was 91, 93, I can't remember, somewhere around there. Incredible.
They were wicked.
Yeah,
I mean, it was really funny. When I was waiting for them at the side of the stage, just to direct my crew when their splitter turned up, where they're parking and stuff.
Yeah.
And we couldn't figure out if they were here or not, but there was a van with all smoke coming out of it. And
that'll be the one.
Yeah, on their rider, no shit, on their rider, top of their rider. I mean,
this is exclusive content here. This is good.
A Kingskin Rizzlers.
Yeah.
And that's fine to have on a rider. I've seen worse pants and socks. But at the top of their rider, the top thing, which indicates to me that they thought, what do we need on
priority? That was top of their brain. Yeah.
Anyway, they were wicked. So I do a bit of stage managing for them, for the Perry Brothers, who put on these events with things like that. So
awesome.
That's ace. And then when they tour, I tend to go out with them and stage manage and work with the bands doing that. I've done some stuff with McFly. Just try and be involved in it, fingers in pies.
Good, yeah. Can't
just
be all
love
over
it.
There. Yeah.
So
excellent. So yeah, I want to talk about your what I really know you through and how we know each other is through C327.
Yeah.
Your band.
Yeah.
The band that you are. Will you tell us a little bit about them guys and you guys and what you do?
I've sort of digressed. I've gone off on a tangent now, but yeah.
I asked you what you're up to musically. You told me you're living the dream, mate. So it's all good.
So
right.
So I earn a bit of money from doing that.
Cool.
But yeah, the 2020. That's all right. Back on.
Yep.
It would have been the 20th anniversary. Well, 2021 would be the 20th anniversary. So we met up to discuss the idea of doing a concert the following year to mark the 20th anniversary.
So you guys been together all that time, or
off and on?
Off and on. Okay.
Yeah. So mainly till 2006, 2007.
So we're talking like from 2001 through to 2006-07.
Yeah.
It was full on.
Yeah.
Like actual. Yeah. We're a band together. We're doing.
Couldn't really have a job, kind of.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
And then.
Well, I definitely want to get under the skin of that in a moment.
Yeah. Sure. And then we got back together in 2013 for a few shows. We weren't in a position to really we weren't really getting on. Bits and bobs. We kind
musically,
of
personally.
Okay. Yeah.
Music still good at those times? Do you think?
No, it kind of dwindled off a bit because people didn't have the same. You know what it's like when influences change just because you're into music and music changes and they kind of set a wedge in different places within it, and drinking set a wedge and drugs set a wedge and personalities shifted, different priorities and stuff.
We grow up,
exactly.
You're in a band together that long, especially at that time of life. I mean, what sort of age were you? Was it early 20s, late teens-ish?
Oh, no, mid-20s, mid-20s.
So, I mean, that's a big time of change personality-wise and, life choice
exactly
and priority-wise as well. I mean, you talk about 2001, I got married that year for the first time and in 2003 had my first kid. I was off the music scene. Bringing up my family. It's never been a full-time job for me, which is why I'm making this podcast, so I can find out.
Exactly.
Well, it was a full-time job when I was a kid, but it wasn't really a job because it was in between school and stuff. But it's fascinating to me that I was off doing that, and you guys were doing that at a time of immense change in your life personally, right?
Yeah, and priorities changed, and then we didn't really talk. We did we went on and did another different band, a couple of us, and that annoyed the other guys, and one guy, and it just...
It's like being married to like four other people sometimes, isn't it?
It definitely is.
It always fascinated that part of it for me when people would get annoyed that you're joining another band or you're doing something musically with somebody else.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is? Do you think people feel possessive over, or do they think that you're spreading yourself too thin, you're not committed?
Yeah, I think it's what you said, that marriage kind of thing, that is kind of, especially when you've been in each other's pockets, and there's a certain amount of immaturity that goes with that, I think.
At 20, 23, 24, I mean, none of us know what, which way our head's up doing.
Exactly, and I think it's kind of almost like a cheating on feeling. I mean, I don't really think I've ever had that kind of feeling. Maybe I have. I mean, who knows? But it certainly was a thing. And a couple of us went and did another band, and it pissed the other guys off a bit. And so we didn't really talk. And we kind of a few of us had fallen out, and there was a big drug thing. I don't really want to go into the drug thing.
No, please don't. It's fine.
We go into the music, listen to the music, and then I got married in 2012, and that was ace. And we decided, my wife and I, to have like a little festival, like the Gelderson Locks, like as the reception.
What a place!
Yeah.
What a place!
Yeah.
Festival. Yeah.
So we had one of our best friends, Matty P. He came and played and did our first dance, and we had a few other local bands, Thinking Men, who I loved, and a band called Burn the Headlines, and my mate.
Burn the Headlines are immense.
Yeah, cool band.
Yeah, I'm so glad they're not doing anything recently.
I asked them to. So I work with Westy. He comes out with A quite often as well.
Great,
so I work.
Great.
Awesome. I actually asked them. They did a cover of Break Stuff by Limp Bizkit. So I actually asked them if they wouldn't mind just playing the whole set of just that on repeat. They did do some of their own ones though. I just wanted to hear Break Stuff.
Just play that over and over again, please. That'll be lovely.
Yeah. And my other friend Rowan's band, who with a couple of the other guys from See-Through as well originally, called One Last Laugh. Sort of a funk kind of rock thing. And anyway, we had a load of music, and all of the See-Through guys were going to be there. So it was kind of like I sort of put the idea out.
We're all going to be together.
Just play a song. It's my wedding.
Yeah, there's a stage.
And we all just got drunk, and we all did our thing, and we went on and kind of somehow. I don't know how we did it, but we kind of shuffled our way for a couple of old tunes, and because it was like a gig, and it felt like a gig. There was a load of people there, 100 people, whatever, and just the look. People's faces was enough to go, we've got to do some gigs. And Lindsay Moore, who was there, she sort of said she was managing a pub in Lowestoft at the time. She goes,
yes, with Darren.
That's right. Yeah.
Mr. Stegger Lewis, local legend. I'm going to get him on the show. I'm trying to time down to a date at the moment.
Yeah, he's a busy man, right?
yeah. Well, he works weekends and stuff like that. So for Carl Fest and stuff like that, it was K Fest before that.
Yeah, that's right.
Which again were awesome local events and stuff like that. But was Lindsay sort of sparked for that and said, "You
she was like, right,
big music fans.
Let's book you. Yeah, let's put you on.
Yeah,
at the Standard, and.
Yes, so that's the one. I'd forgotten the place. They used to run that, didn't they? I played there with the Harpoon Blues Band a few times.
And it was a small place, and we were like, that's cool.
Yeah.
Let's do that. We hadn't played in years, and we weren't really expecting anything. We thought it'd be a crack. So we booked there to do that, which was great. And that would have been that was 2013. And then they came out of there, and we didn't have a venue. Which was a bit of a stress.
Had they knocked the brewery down by that time?
Yeah, the brewery.
Local venue, the brewery was the absolute epicentre.
Yeah, the brewery was the be all and end all of for me and a lot of people. How the music scene around here it was the hub. I think it was the centre.
Well, I was talking to you before you very generously came around and spent time with us. I had Mr. Paul Johnson from Club Uniquity over here talking about his venue. Club Uniquity,
played there a few times,
and how that was the hub. Of everything, So these venues can form a community. He was talking about forming a community around these places as well. And I do believe that there are venues like that exist on our local scenes that do become the hub of. Everyone's going to be there. It's probably going to be loads of other musos, to be fair. Coming to see whether they're judging each other or not. Maybe I'm speaking for myself.
I love it. I love Club Uniquity. I think it's really important, especially in the time that kind of evolved into what it's become.
Yeah,
I think it was really important. Especially for people growing up, because of the brewery. A lot of them come from cutting their teeth at venues like the brewery.
This is exactly what we were talking about.
So then growing up, and the brewery doesn't exist. So I mean, would you still go there now? I mean, we talk about it in this kind of very.
I'm not sure I would. I think I'd feel like old. A pimple on an elephant's arse. Yeah, I'd feel old as fuck. I really would.
So Club Uniquity kind of filled that kind of thing. I mean, I still got. There is no kind of young venue where there's kids. Going and be an alternative, whether that's with electronic music, whatever it is.
Because I think that alternative crowd exists. I've seen them. I've got an 18-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter. I know that kids, are into that stuff. That there's a scene, but they prefer to do it. I think from the safety of their own homes, especially what's happened recently. But I think that was happening before that.
Yeah,
they were just retreating behind their mobile phones and watching it there. Live music scene, as you know, because you work in it, can still thrive. And I think it needs a grassroots to cut our teeth on and to get stuck into, doesn't it?
It definitely does. You can't be. you have to play somewhere to be shit to learn to not be shit. You can't just go and yeah, I mean you probably can, but you shouldn't just go and suddenly grab a great support with a great band at, at one of the bigger venues, because you're probably going to be shit. Don't ruin the opportunity. You need somewhere to kind of be shit, play your songs, to learn what works and what doesn't work.
Absolutely, I think it's a great experience. Not only is it humbling, but it's also learning your craft.
Of course it is, yeah.
Absolutely, like you say, what works, what doesn't. Is this something I really want to do?
Yeah.
Because if you go straight up onto the big stages, which is what, to be quite honest, I started. I don't know if you know much about where I come from musically, but I started playing in a band when I was 11 as part of an outreach program for disadvantaged kids,
right.
And they put us on TV. I was on television within 3 months of picking up an instrument, and then I did American tour within 18 months of picking up that instrument.
Amazing.
And played the whole of the East Coast of America on national TV shows. I mean, we were on Disney, and I was like 13. It was absolutely nuts. So as far as I was concerned, that's what you did.
Yeah.
And there was not like, do I even like this?
Yeah.
Am I even any good?
Yeah.
Are we well rehearsed enough? Can I even play my fucking instrument properly? Which I definitely couldn't.
Oh, I'm sure you're right.
That came with then taking it down to and playing Club Uniquity. I played Club Uniquity, one of the first sort of. We couldn't nail it down, but there's a poster in the back room there, and I think I'm on either the second or third night, something like that. And those were some of the best gigs of my life.
Yeah,
just completely taking it down, white to the rise. Because also, like, the culture of those kind of places is people were there for the music. All right, they will probably talk over you at the brewery and stuff like that. But, you had to then learn your craft to get their fucking attention.
Of course, yeah.
Right? Whereas Club Uniquity, you already have it.
Yeah.
It was quiet. People went there to listen, and they weren't there to fucking talk. But, I think we're missing a bit of that, aren't we?
Yeah, of course we are. And it's... Yeah, we definitely are missing it, and there's nowhere to really. I remember. I mean, I'm going completely off topic, but I remember when I was. I guess it was 98, 97, 98. Sort of in our sort of not first band, but kind of first band that we were kind of conscious about. Writing music and doing shows and being a band. I went round a friend's house, and it's like, I'll go with my sister to the brewery. It was called. Used to call it Green Jack's back then.
It was the Green Jack Brewery and a brewery tap. It's been the brewery was always in a name, so we always knew it as that.
The brewery, So we went down there. I came over from Suffolk, and we walked. We walked from Pakefield, and I had a couple of beers, and we were 16 or something. So it was kind of exciting. Went there, and it was a goth night, and I just remember just being absolutely blown away because. We'd been doing shows, but our scene was this kind of village hall scene out in the sticks, out near Halesworth and Rumborough. We were putting on shows there when we were 15 with 200-300 kids.
That's an interesting point, putting on your own shows, because that seems to be something that follows you through for C327, because your last gig was a show that you put on.
That's right, yeah.
At the local football club.
Yeah.
Off your own backs, as opposed to trying to get an already existing venue or get hired by somebody.
Yeah.
So that would make total sense that was your grassroots putting on our own venue. So why don't we just put on our own one now as well? Anyway?
Yeah, and that's exactly exactly what we used to do. So that was happening. We were doing these village hall gigs, and there was a sort of collective of bands, 5 or 6 bands. That would do that at the time, and we'd book a village hall. You'd pay your 70 quid. Then, personally, I never used to do this, but we definitely did do this. We used to get illegal bars, and there'd be someone we know running a bar.
Yeah.
We had a car outside selling a load of booze.
Sure.
And then we'd just charge, and people would turn up. And at one point, there'd be hundreds of kids, but at one point, a Lowestoft band, Cruel Blind, came over and played one of those shows, and that was at the first, and that was around that same era when I then went to the brewery for the first time. So these kind of them two kind of little scenes were merging really, because the guys from Cruel Blind sort of went over to a village hall and were like, hang on, there's 300 kids here, like going apeshit in a room. Whereas at the brewery at that point, there wasn't 300 kids going apeshit in a room.
No,
for them, they would, but. And it was a really interesting time. So we went to the brewery, and then it was like, wow. And it was the drinking, it was the goths, it was the smoking joints in the back bar. And it was kind of it was like, this is a venue. This is what venues are like. And it became like, for me, I loved going there just to hang out and watch bands. quite often to watch shit bands and just then talk about how shit that band is. I mean, don't get me wrong.
I am the king of that. I'm awful. Awfully judgmental.
We should definitely go and watch bands because I think I've got a reputation for being a dick, for being an arsehole when it comes because people go, what do you think of music?
No reputation with me. I literally never heard of you.
Just on it. I'll just be honest in my opinion.
For sure, please do.
Sometimes I should probably not be so honest.
Well, I do find myself very, very, very judgmental, and I check myself, and I bloody shouldn't. But more recently, I've calmed down, basically because I'm old now and I'll die of a fucking heart attack if I keep getting uptight about it. But mostly is that I've had a bit of a journey now.
Yeah.
And when I went to an open mic night for Mr. Tony Graham's over in Galston on Thursday, and there was a young lad got up with his guitar, and he weren't very good, and he was a bit nervous, and he rambled through his songs, and instead of thinking, well, he was shit, I thought, no, he's got some fucking bollocks getting up there. He's got some spuds. Yeah. And he's cutting his teeth. Yeah. And he's fucking
finding the positives.
So yes, mate. Yeah. So good lad. Good on you. And then this mandolin player got up and folk music, not hugely my thing. I respect it. I used to be in a folk band. I used to play a bit of mandolin as well. But this guy was all over it, and there was a couple of guys laughing and joking at the bar, and I thought, nah, he's a fucking brilliant mandolin player, mandolinist, whatever it's called. And his fingers were all over it. So again, finding the positive, finding the respect for these people that they're trying to hone their craft as well.
Exactly.
We've got to do it somewhere. Not that I've gone somewhere and gravitated to any sort of musical prowess, but at the same time, I forget and used to love watching those bands in the brewery that were shit as much as I did the good ones. Yeah. Whether I roasted them or not. Yeah. It was all part of it. Right?
I think that journey does help. I certainly am more not forgiving. I try and find a positive. These days, it's harder to go to shows in the first place. Just life gets in the way. And but just going to watch bands be bad or be good or be amazing. And we used to always kind of dissect why we liked them or why we didn't like them.
Do you think that was? I mean, that's an important point. I think. Do you think perhaps you were trying to find out, discover what you like musically, and then trying to, just for the point of this podcast, is try and learn something, glean something, learning what not to do, as much as what to do.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I always say. In fact, it was Darren who asked me. When we had a chat on the band podcast that we did last year, he said, "What advice would you give?" And the short of it was, don't be local, don't be a little village band. Like, don't think that you could be shit, you can be amazing. Yeah, doesn't really matter. But if you've got ideas and you're trying to be cool, then people can come, they can be judgmental, they can be, I could be there and be thinking, God, they're rubbish. But you won't, because I'll be thinking, look at all this. There's something, because they're thinking bigger than that.
Well, I was talking to Paul Johnson, and that kind of that point came up, and I remember him saying to me, it was about 20 years ago, a former partner of mine was looking at, they bought an album out. Right. And they were selling CDs, and she turned the CD over and went, "Oh, look at that! It's like a real band." And he gave that exact thought. And Paul said, "Well, you are real if you think you're real."
Yeah, exactly.
And that 20 years ago just absolutely just blew my mind. It's like, and it stuck with me as well. Yeah. Because if you are, if you believe in what you're doing, is something that you're passionate about and you want to proceed with, then it's totally real.
I believe that completely.
There's a grades of it. There's not like starving artist and the success of Adele and Ed Sheeran is there. Yeah, no. It's not like you've got to be one or the other. Yeah. Well, you've got to do this to be famous. You've got to do that. You're not doing that. No one's going to even from parents and peers, anybody, stuff like that.
Just go and focus. Just do it. And if you are doing it, I mean, it's completely true. And that is that advice, like that I when Darren asked me that I would give, and it was advice given to me actually. It was about a flight case. I was asked once. No, I brought a big flight case for a speaker cabinet, and I couldn't fit it in my car, so it's never really been in my car. It's really cool. It's really annoying, but I was with one of the guys from a guy called Adam, one of the twins, who's amazing, and he goes, your flight case is awesome. I was like, yeah, but it doesn't fit in the car. He goes, so get a van, and then you're like a proper band, aren't you?
Proper band, like a proper band.
And you're like,
a proper band.
The message there is like, you got to get the case and then go and get the van. Like then you are doing that, and it's the same thing for anything. Like that listening party that See-Through did. Like I wasn't a big fan of the idea of doing it because I'd have to organise it. And, but at the same time,
that's how we met, actually. Isn't
yeah,
it?
That's right. Yeah,
so you've got a new album out, haven't you?
Yeah.
And you're releasing another single soon. Did I see?
Yeah, put it there. So we tried to do a video for every single song.
Wow.
Purely because when we did it the first time round, that wasn't ever attainable.
Is that what you're doing it because that's what you want to do? Because I know that, I read lots of, I try to read stuff about music industry, and because I feel it's changed so much over the years that I've not necessarily been away, but in the 35 years that I've been playing music, it has changed like insanity. And it's one of the things I want to get onto you with, because you started at that 2001, internet still in its infancy, maybe mp3.com was about, video cameras expensive, mobile phones not really a thing, and then these days it's like social media geddon.
Noise,
Noise. That's a brilliant description.
There is so much noise now. But it is exactly that. So
videos become a thing. You can do them because they advise you to do. You need to do a lyric video. You need to do one of you playing in a band. That wasn't any of those reasons.
Yeah, no,
it wasn't social media advice. No, it wasn't any of those. Purely, I want to do a fucking video.
It was. 100% that. Just because we didn't we come from a time where it wasn't achievable to have a video unless you had a big advance. Like that wasn't going to happen.
Or a parent with a video camera, or someone who knew someone who worked in film and stuff like that.
And it was always going to look a bit, and you can spot them from back in from that era. But so when this time round when we actually made music. And we had tried to make music in that period between 2013 when we did them sort of comeback shows. But it just never went anywhere. We did try a bit. So when we actually started making this record and did the demos for it and that started happening, we immediately were like started thinking videos. And so when we went and recorded it properly with Tom Joy, we already knew roughly which ones we were going to shoot at the studio as we were tracking. We had a rough plan.
Because this is what happens now. I mean, Danny and I, our musical partnership at the moment, we literally put up the mobile phone, start recording every time we hit a practice. Just record everything. Because there might be something that you can use.
Of course there is.
There might be something that might be like, hey, actually, because you can capture it all the time now.
You can. And
it's really it's not only a useful songwriting tool, it's a useful promotional tool. It's also like you say, because making videos is fucking fun, isn't it?
It is.
And I'd see pro bands doing that back in the day and think that looks like fun.
And I think it's in a world where, like we said, there's so much noise. I think it's an accessible part of your product. So the music is one thing, fine, and people can digest music however they want now, Spotify, whatever. But if you're in that noise, and it wasn't a conscious decision, like I said, like to do this to try to be through the noise.
The promotion. The promotion advice says that we have to have a video.
It's none of that.
It's literally just,
let's have a video. Let's have something that makes this track better, that gets our sentiment across. And you can just see it, and it's fun, and it's there rather than just listening to the track. Because sometimes, like it is, like if you're talking on the phone, like without that interaction, sometimes the message can get slightly lost. So that's kind of what it was about. So the next one that comes out is Put It There, and that has been a long video to get right.
To get right, as long as it's not like a 3-hour Peter Jackson epic to watch. Right?
No, it's I tell you what it was. We made a decision. I made a decision, and just the guys agreed with me.
Are you the driving force behind that band? Does that happen a lot? My old nickname. So you're the main you are the songwriter, right?
These days, no. Well, yeah.
Got Johnny's lyrics.
Me and Johnny and I should say. Hasn't always been like that. It started like that. Johnny and I.
Sorry, I've taken you off on a tangent here, mate. But it just occurred to me, and I find it interesting.
So we started off. It was a bit of a joke project. It wasn't really ever a band. I just wrote a load of music because I was doing a music course and I got Cubase, and 2000ish, and then Johnny come and did some rapping, and a few other people come and sung on it, and it went like that. And then over the years of doing it, we tried to write in the room, but there were 6 parts, 7 of us. And although that push and pull is quite good sometimes you'd end up just caught within a kind of within like a creative, like this kind of how do you describe it?
Well, I used to be in a band called Nexus, and we would try and write in a room together.
Yeah.
And the lyrics were my responsibility because I was the singer. The guitarist, the chords were his responsibility. So we, each member had their responsibility for their part.
Yeah.
Now, I didn't always feel, because of my at the time fairly meek personality, didn't want to say, why don't you try this on there? Why don't you try that on there? But they would have absolutely no problem telling me my lyrics were shit and my melody was pointless and that I should start again. So there was the politics.
Yeah, there's politics.
There's the politics.
Yeah, of course
there's the egos as well. So I would start, because I was 20 at the time, thinking, "Fuck you, man! I can write you. What the fuck? Do you know who I am? I've been on Disney." And bollocks, absolute bollocks shit like that, because I didn't know any fucking better, because I was a little gobshot. But at the same time, meek and what do you call it? Quite insecure about my musical abilities as well. Although on the outside I was fairly like what, but as soon as they attacked my music, I would be meek about it and be like, "Oh, so sorry, I'll try something else." So we would never get anything done. We wrote literally in 3 years. We wrote 6 tracks. And some of which were 8 minutes long, because everybody had to have their say. Everybody had to have their bit. And they were like a total mishmash of other songs. Now, other people like, Darren Steger-Lewis was one of his first musical experiences, apparently, is seeing us, and Without a Clue, down a brewery. But for me, I couldn't stand playing and singing the fucking song, because they'd been written piecemeal. It's like trying to write a novel, all holding the pen. You're never going to move it in the direction you want, right?
What you just said is 100% what happened in our band.
Oh, really?
So we'd have songs that were just a mishmash of bollocks. Good bits, bad bits that were probably 7.
Time signature changing, shit like
7 songs. And it wasn't because we were trying to be clever.
No.
It was trying to appease everyone.
The same with Nexus.
I felt... I whether it was one of the downfalls of the band, but I had a vision how it should be in my head, not vision, but just based on previous songs that worked. Really, it wasn't like a grand vision, but it was like them songs worked. Why are we not doing that? And in an attempt to try and get to those songs, I'd be like, "Oh, don't play that," or "That riff's like that," or "Let's have more of that," or "Let's have less of that." And when drinking's involved and things like that, people start getting pissed off.
Yeah.
And over the years, I kind of am a bit browbeaten about it, especially now we're back together. I don't sort of put my ideas out. I feel like too afraid to say it, because I don't want to repeat what happened before.
Right.
But I think
do you just bring a completed song and go, "This is a song I've written, I'd like you all to play it"? Is that how it works?
Yeah, now... and I think that's my insecurities, and I cover them up with talking bollocks and being a pretentious twat in public. I'm really not, though.
Well, I'm sure everyone can tell by the content of this particular conversation, so it's all good, mate. It's a safe place.
It's a bravado that's put on, and it always has been.
We do need a little bit of front for that for a musician, otherwise we wouldn't get up on the stage, right?
Yeah.
We wouldn't have the confidence to open our veins in the songs that we've written in front of people.
We all have a anxiety, or, well, I guess we do, and sort of mild depression. I definitely suffer from a lot of those things, but I cover them up with talking and all that kind of jazz, the provider. But yeah, so nowadays, when the pandemic started and we'd written this song, we had a completed song, and there was no sort of other way around it because of the situation that was impacted on us, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So then Johnny would do some words, and he'd do some rapping, and he'd record them at his, and then I'll take them home and put them on. And before we know it, we had 7 songs. So when we started, we actually had more, but it doesn't matter. We then went into the studio to start working them up. It was a case of, here's the songs. And some of them, like Liam, the keyboard player and synth player, he'd already kind of had them songs, and he took them away and then really worked on his parts on them demos, because he was able to do
so
that.
Instead of doing it in the room with everybody with the whole anxiety of who likes
exactly.
You got the freedom then to go away, try bits, throw bits away.
He did exactly what he wanted.
And come back, right, I've sorted it all out. I've
Exactly.
learned it. Here it is.
He loved it. Yeah. I think. I mean, you'll obviously have to ask him, but I'm pretty sure he loved that kind of process. And because I'm not a keyboard player in the slightest, but I know I could hear what I wanted on the track, and I'd do rough bits and then send him, this is what I've done, but you know, please just do your bit.
Yeah.
And then he could spend all that time without going, I think that's a bit naff, or it should be like this, and you know what it's like. So he was able to do that too. The only person that wasn't sort of really able to do that was our other guitar player, Flatty, who's a very creative soul anyhow. And with me and Flatty and I have played together for years anyhow on guitar, so we both get where each other's strengths lie on the guitar. So I kind of wrote parts with him in mind, which was okay, but he didn't have the creative freedom that I or Liam or Johnny had. And Paul, our drummer, I'd written the drum parts, and I kind of again wrote them with him in mind, so the way that he would probably play.
That's bloody rare, and that's a huge talent, being able to do all the orchestration there as well. Because I mean, the way I've worked before, you know, outside of that Nexus situation, was I've written a song mostly on my acoustic guitar, because that's what I know. I've written the chords down. I've made a little demo of it, whatever. I hand the chords, and Danny and I have been doing this a bit lately, so we almost have finished songs separately. We bring them together, and I'm not going to tell him how to play guitar. These are the chords I would like played so they fit with the melody, but mate, do your bit. Yeah, do your bit on him, please, because he's an incredible guitarist, and he has a very distinctive acoustic style as well. So I want that. I don't want him to just strum like I have, bloody robotically and shit through it.
But you're giving him the ingredients. So this is the kind of cake we're going to make.
So this is what you're more or less doing with the guys these days. Yeah?
So Paul, we would then the creative process after that was quite interesting, because we'd had the stuff all recorded, then we'd take certain bits, put it on track. So maybe there was like a sample or a bass line bit or whatever it was, we put that on track, and then we'd try and replicate what the demo was exactly, and that was the starting point.
So these demos then, because demos isn't a word I won't or a thing I hear very much anymore. So these demos are basically, you have recorded it at home, your concept of the start of the song and stuff like, or you know what the song in your head you envision it to go. As a starting point for them to go, right, then we're gonna learn this, and we're gonna do our bit, and then we're gonna record the real thing.
So structurally and musically it was pretty much there. And it was there because it wasn't like this is it. It was like, I'll do an idea and put it on a WhatsApp group, and their guys would go, yeah, love this, love that, or let's speed it up, or let's use that section, and we kind
which is a massive further forward starting point than sitting in a room and go, who's got a chord. Yeah. Who's got a couple of lyrics?
Which we've all done, and it was fucking horrendous when our band tried to do that.
I've never enjoyed that.
It was the downfall, and then you'd spend we'd go down the sound. I mean, at that time we was going down the sound house or cafe now, twice a week maybe, and we'd drink and you'd smoke and we'd have a good time. And there was a social aspect, which is the main bit of it, really, to be honest.
Well, that's why one of the main excellent things about being in a band is the camaraderie, isn't it?
Yeah, the hangs. Of course it is. Yeah,
totally.
But we'd just end up just not being able to write anything. So but this time, so we'd get into the room, and it was kind of already written. And one of the really important things is the movement between sections. So like if there was a really important movement, how it transitioned to a different part or whatever it may be, I'd say to Paul, the drummer, let's keep it the same as on the demo because it worked. And then that happened, and he'd do it the same. And then after about 6 months of playing, other nuances start appearing, and things start happening, things start changing. I'm like, well, that's not how the demo went, and it's like, but it sounds great, and I knew that would happen.
Songs develop.
Exactly.
Some do very much so. I mean, Danny and I also find it, you do that if you do a lot of live tunes. Well, not that you're catering or tailoring it to your audience, but just the repetitism. Like you say, you were rehearsing 2 days a week, and Danny and I did 40 gigs last year. I don't know how, mostly my live streams, stuff like that. But after about gig 10, 12, 13, the songs start to I did it, you did a little bit different in there. Loved it. Loved it. Like, and that sort of evolution is very welcome, but only comes from doing them. You've got to put the flesh on the bones first, right?
And I think there is a certain amount of discipline, and I think that writing in that way for
maturity as well.
Yeah, exactly. And being open about trying different things and not being precious about parts. I'm not. I wouldn't say, I've got to play that part because it's a cool part, or whatever it may be. but I want people to be creative, and I think we were creative, and then over that honed, and then we went and made the record, and we were in a very strong position. We knew the timings, we had all the samples and all the fun stuff that we had on track all ready to go, and that was just loaded in the session, and we turned up, and we were super rehearsed, and we did it, and we got, I think, the best thing musically that any of us have ever done.
Well, the recent album, So you recorded that? I noticed in the mill.
Yeah,
he's been there for a while. That fella, isn't he? Down in this, And did you try and keep it as live as possible? Sort of, you all recorded at the same.
We tracked all at the same time.
Yeah, that's great because it's so rare. And then added, obviously, your bits and pieces, your icing and cherries on the top with your overdubs and stuff. Yeah,
we just wanted to nail the rhythm section really because we had a new guy, Johnny Baker. He joined.
Incredible bass player.
Yeah.
Absolutely insane.
So that story is just mind blowing. Like how he ended up in our band. It's so cool.
If you want to share, mate, please do. I love band politics stories. I bloody do.
Because I'd only ever heard the name Johnny Baker.
Yeah,
I'd never met
legends whispered in nightclubs and bars.
Exactly. Yeah,
all the bass player called Johnny Baker.
All the wrong bars. Yeah,
he is that good though.
He is really good.
He really is. Yeah.
And so our old bass player Adam, he's wicked. He's a great mate. He'd moved up, like as I said earlier, he'd moved up north, up to Liverpool way, a couple of years ago, and he was involved in the writing of the record, and we did quite a few of the tracks. But when it came to sort of locking him down to come and record it, there was an issue. He was very sceptical about the COVID situation. He was very worried about it, more so than us, who had our own little see-through drunk bubble that we did,
or couldn't give a shit. All of that. I'm not. After recent revelations in Whitehall, I'm not giving a shit about saying where I hung out during the fucking pandemic. They can kiss my arse.
Well, Paul set up his own business, and he called it C327, and. So legally, and we were writing for a record, and we spoke to certain people that we know, mutual friends, I won't mention this, if we could use their space because we were legally allowed because we were working towards a record and it was a business. So just in case that he wasn't going to come under any fire, we had our own bubble set up there, and we were the only band there. So anyway, it worked out fine. But so Adam was, we couldn't lock him down. He wasn't very comfortable. He's like, I think it's best you just move on now without me. So we were like, that is really, that is a lot. Quite far away from the immaturity we were talking about earlier about were you in another band and all that kind of stuff. That's very mature, and that's really quite a big thing to say, isn't it? Yeah, he'd been in it since he joined in 2002, 3. So he'd been in the band.
So he'd let go of his ego that much to say, "You guys, I'm really sorry, I can't do this." Which is
knew that we wanted to kind of push it.
Yeah.
So we didn't have a bass player. Not that he'd been rehearsing with us, but we didn't have a bass player. And the Johnny Baker thing came up because I was chatting to drummer Paul, and he said, this guy. And it was like, definitely no. Oh, who's this guy? He goes, Johnny Baker. He's a bit unreliable, but he's a really good bass player. That's how he was.
He'll be over the moon too.
So I was like, oh, right, okay. I didn't think anything of it. Then I was out on a jog, and I bumped into our mutual friend Chris Brown.
Oh, I remember Chris. I haven't seen Chris for a while actually, but obviously we're not seeing fucking anybody. But great singer-songwriter, lovely bloke.
Love Chris. I spent some of my favourite evenings in the world.
Well, he watched us because I was in a band called Jamison Samafi Band, and he was at Alive and V Dubbin. We'd done a gig, and he'd done a set. I think on the same bill somewhere around there, and we were like, "Hey man, I want to play some half for you." And he's like, "Yes, I want to play some half for me." And then the pandemic happened, and we haven't managed to look up again. But I really want to seek him out because lovely music.
Yeah, he's great.
But you bumped into him.
So, he was like, I said, "Is your brother still playing?" Because his brother Samo played bass in a band called Jakari, who were kind of like a hip hop rock thing after we kind of disappeared. So they kind of, I want to say, held the baton, but they sort of took on that kind of role, and which was really at the time, years ago, really what's the word? I was super proud of the fact that they were even, I think, on their MySpace page, that C327, and it was just like, wow, like how cool is that? Like, we thought no one gave a shit, and there was this band who were like really influenced by us. So anyway, we never played a gig together, but. Is it Samo? I was like, does Samo still play?
Are they still together?
No, I think they.
I was going to say, because you definitely organised a gig together.
100%, yeah. So Chris played in that band as well, and I think the singer is in the States working.
Where?
I'm not sure. But so Chris was like, you should ask Johnny Baker. I was like, funny, you're the second person to say that. I don't know. And he goes, oh, you do know him. I was like, I have no idea who he is. He goes, oh, he's a legend. Okay, cool. Didn't hear anything. Then we were down at cafe.
Yep.
And we came out of rehearsal and we were chatting about where our singer Johnny was, and he wasn't there that night. And then some chap, don't know who he was, came up. He might hear this. If he does, like, he could probably have a free CD because this is kind of a crucial moment. He said, "You talking about Johnny Baker?" Yeah. And we went, "No, talking about our singer Johnny." And I was like, "That is weird." No, that's the
three times now.
To mention Johnny Baker.
Our paths are converging.
Yeah,
I'm not a spiritual guy, but there's, it's kind of a bit.
Exactly. It gets better, this story, because
excellent.
We were on the WhatsApp group that night or the next night, and all chatting about it. And I said, "Look, this has come up quite a lot now. Does anyone friends with this guy Johnny Baker?" And Liam spoke up and he said, I have met him, I'm friends with him on Facebook. I was like, oh really? What's he like? He goes, well, he was drunk and he came up to me in a pub and just sung See-Through lyrics at me.
Fucking hell. So he's been mentioned 3 or 4 times. Yeah. He's obviously a fan.
Yeah.
Did he play, I mean, I haven't got his complete history right. Did he play for local legend band Murphy's Law?
He does, he does. Yeah, still does,
them boys were friggin'
he still does that.
I know Root well and love him and all that. That's all cool. So, he was playing for them, right?
Yeah, just bits and bobs. He just kind of does these bits and
just
bobs.
Just everywhere.
Yeah, and he just loves playing. So at that point, I'm like, I'm throwing this out there. I think he's our guy.
Yeah.
I was like, let me friend him on Facebook and I send him a message. So I did that and sent him a message and I said, look, this is the situation. We've written a record, putting the band back together.
Blues Brothers style.
Are you interested in being involved? Is this something that you'd be interested in, kind of thing? And there was a sort of like, I think that was maybe about 10 minutes of kind of, I sent it.
Yeah.
And then he got back and basically the essence of his message was, you've basically asked Seafru's biggest fan if he wants to play bass in your band. Because I'm in, when do you want me to audition?
I don't say meant to be too often, but that sounds like a little bit wasn't it?
Well, yes. So then he comes to rehearsal. It still gets better.
All the songs?
So he comes
I'm jumping ahead of your story. I'm super excited.
No, it's cool.
I'm well excited.
So he comes to rehearsal and then he just smashed it.
Yeah.
At the time we weren't playing old songs, so we hadn't played them in like 8 years.
But he probably knew them better than you did, do you think?
He just learned all of these kind of songs. Yeah. One rehearsal, we did most of our new record.
Fuck.
And there was moments where we'd be like, you've hit that bit a bit harder, you're a bit quicker on that bit. We'd like, that was literally, it wasn't like, this is how it goes.
I wouldn't have had the balls to tell him. I'd just be like, play it.
Yeah, we had to find something. Anyway, he goes...
I've been picking through all of your music, mate. This is all I can find. Fucking great.
And we got on, we all got on with him, and he hopefully got on with us, really well, straight away,
he's a super
the bat.
Nice guy.
And then he said to me that night, you have to let me know how the audition went, if I'm in. I was like, mate, there's no audition. You're in, mate. There's no other person.
Yeah.
So he was in, then we hung out, and we smoked, and we drank, and he came and we had a little barbecue, and he came over, and we hung out, and we chatted. And he got really wrecked, and he started telling us these stories about when he used to come and watch our band. And this is when it's really interesting.
Yeah.
Because he was then talking about some of our first gigs, really old gigs, 2002, 2003 kind of era.
Yeah.
And he said that he'd come and he was massively influenced by our old bass player, who wasn't a bass player, he's a guitar player, which is why he played bass a bit like a crazy person.
For sure.
He didn't really, but he played intricate bass lines.
I've heard a lot of bass players are lead guitarists on the double,
Yeah, so Johnny Baker was quite taken and influenced in some respects by the bass player that he's now playing in. So I'm like, this is good. And then he said stories about how they did dropped a load of acid and he punched his girlfriend in the face at a see-through thing at the brewery, and then he was kicked out at the brewery, and all these sort of moments. I'm like, you've got as many stories about our band as we have in the band,
Right,
and I was like, it's just meant to be. And then since then, I'd scared to say he's one of my best friends. He's amazing.
I love to hear those stories. I always love a good rock and roll story and stuff like that. And the same thing. My favourite one, not dissimilar to that, is Suede.
Okay.
After Bernard Butler left.
Okay.
And they did open auditions, and that guitarist Justin, I think his name is, turned up. and had the Bernard Butler gear and played their complete back catalogue absolutely flawless.
Yeah.
It's like, right, well, you're the guy. Just get up and let's talk. Let's go.
I mean, Johnny came in and he was confident, and when we made the record, he was really confident about how he wanted his bass to be, and his playing is just on another level. Like, he's made
got
that
a 5
record.
strings?
No, he's just on a 4-string.
Why do I think it was 5 string? I was very drunk that night.
I
have to apologise for drinking all your beer. You didn't know who I was. I gate crashed your listening party.
Okay, yeah. That's fine.
Then belligerently asked a load of questions when everyone else was really quiet.
It's fine.
And literally drank all the bloody beer and stumbled
Good
home
beer, right?
about 2 in the morning. I wouldn't have drank it all if it was shit, to be fair. So it was
the brewery's
lovely
biggest
beer.
seller at the moment. They're keeping it on as a mainstay.
So good.
It's going to be in a load of pubs, And we developed it a little bit more after that. So I mean,
speaking of which, did you have beers in your bag?
Yeah,
You're keeping them all to yourself.
No, that's
this particular good junction to music. It's a Sunday evening.
help yourself. I've got one of each.
Oh my god, which one do you prefer?
I'm an old ale guy.
Old ale
that's
guy?
Amazing. If you like an IPA, that's great.
I'll do that then. There's a bottle opener.
You go
that,
for
buddy.
whichever.
I'll have this one.
Thank
then.
you.
Lovely, jubbly. Craft. Excellent.
It's a really good
Your
job.
favourite guest. No one else has bought beer so far.
I wouldn't go anywhere without taking a gift or a beer.
He's very well bought up. That's the kind of people. Cheers. Chin chin.
I'm a Southport boy, so you know.
He's well brought up. My wife's from Halesworth, so you're all very. I know. So compared to me, you're insanely posh. Do you know that, all of you?
Okay.
I was born in a caravan in Cobham over in Great Yarmouth. Yeah.
No,
it wasn't cool. It was bloody horrendous. Well, it was cold. So it was there. I don't remember. I was very young. So mate. So bass player. You got all the ingredients together and stuff like that.
He slotted in, and we've just had a great time since. And we've written the next record. Well, I've nearly finished it.
Yeah.
Musically, it's got a long way to go, but musically we're nearly there. And he's going to have a massive role in that, I think. The writing, because then I'll pass it around, and
in that style that you've developed and you've come to, rather than that old sort of push pull and stuff like that. So that's developed lovely over the 20 years. So I mean, I originally asked you to come in and talk about longevity for the wider term and stuff like that. And I'm so glad that you've been able to make it personal and talk about your stories, which are fucking brilliant. And I hope that people can find some sort of find something that they relate to in that, and I think it definitely will. I definitely do.
Cool.
So we've got in your longevity, we've got it's a fairly minimal lineup change, to be fair, isn't it?
Yeah,
it really is. But we've got some nice big breaks in there as well when you need to. I think musicians feel the need to. I've got to keep producing. I've got to keep going.
Yeah,
I've got to keep doing that, and they're too afraid to take a break and go. Do you know what? I'm just going to have a little move aside from that.
Yeah, sometimes you need to.
Because you managed to get back together and produce some of the best stuff you've ever fucking done, isn't it?
Yeah, I think it's it's definitely that maturity and coming back together at a later stage in life. It's still hard. We've still got issues, not necessarily within the band, but on personal levels, there's issues.
For sure. Well, we're all human beings. We can't,
I think a lot of people I say a lot of people. I think some of us definitely see the band as an escape. Now, and it's very insular, as in it's for us. Like, we're not trying to change the world.
So how have you managed then? It sounds to me like it's been all very kismet and all very sort of just happened, but I'm sure that it hasn't. Obviously, there's an awful lot of hard work gone into your songwriting, and obviously you wouldn't be the musicians you were unless you'd worked real hard at that. But you also managed to still fill a venue despite being 20 years down the road, taking a big break.
Yeah.
And all those of us, you still managed to pack out that,
We sold it out.
Yeah, man.
It was amazing. In advance. I mean, at the time, it was really unfortunate timing. We did sell it out. We oversold it, in fact. Because we put a really
better that way than the other.
We hired a really big stage and a really big sound system. But then it was like the day that Omicron really went through the roof. So a lot of people didn't feel comfortable in coming, or because they were worried about Christmas the next week, so they didn't want to catch it.
We were even told, pick which parties you go to, weren't we?
That was that day.
For God's sake.
It was literally that day.
I want to go to all the parties. Fuck you.
So it was a bit of a... We wanted to create something for the town.
Yeah.
It wasn't about us.
So what crew were turning up? Were they old fans after nostalgia? Were they new ones that had heard about you?
I think it was old fans. A lot of old fans. which was great.
Did you have to finish at like 9:30 because they're all old and shit?
No. I didn't
I've got a babysitter, I can't be staying here.
I didn't. Well, the thing is, thankfully, the people that didn't come, I mean, I knew that this potentially could be an issue with the virus, so that's why we got a ticket agency to run it.
Yeah.
Because I couldn't have that come back on me or the guys. We needed to put that in somebody else's hands. So we had a ticket agency.
So if this is cancelled, this is not because we cancelled it,
exactly.
because they have.
So you could book your own protection through it and all that, and that was kind of a conscious thing that we did.
So have they built that pandemic style like cancellation into their booking system?
You can book it onto, a lot of places do it, but you could, I think it was like 60p or something like that, you could add on to your ticket price, which then covered you if you just didn't go.
Right, yeah.
How many people did that, I have no idea. I didn't have access to
you packed it out.
But I mean, a lot of people didn't come, but they didn't ask for their money back, thankfully, because it would have, if somehow...
Yeah, that's their choice as well. I would be the same. I'd be like, I'm choosing not to come.
Yeah,
I can't then. I wouldn't feel right about asking for a thing on my decision.
And it's a massive change. I think it's a really big shift, because I think 3 years ago, 2 years ago, pre-pandemic, it would have been a very different thing. People would have wanted their money back and screw the band.
Oh yeah.
But I think now that a lot of people know the hardship that music, local, big.
However it is.
That the industry has suffered. Like that would have I fronted all the money for the show and everything, so that would have had a big impact on me. Yeah. I made £2 that night. Did you? And then I brought Darren
a pint
so of my own beer. So I'm actually down money. So I didn't make any money, but that was never the plan to make money. It was all about just trying to do something cool for the town. There wasn't a venue that could put on that size event.
Unfortunately, bloody not. I mean, I will tell you this in secret, but Mr. Paul Johnson says that he's looking at possibly getting Club Uniquity back in March.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, man.
The East Point Pavilion are going to be putting some kind of a venue in there.
Yeah, and the Ness as well.
Yeah,
I'm sort of friends with the lady that sort of does publicity and stuff like that. So, fingers crossed that little cube down there might be a couple of little things to put up and stuff like that.
Because. I mean, putting that show on, not selling the show, as I see, I've done lots of shows over the years, like putting them on, but so actually you seem creating the venue, turning the football club into a venue was tricky.
Well, it's the ultimate DIY scene, isn't it? You know, and you guys have done that. It sounds to me like you were sort of birthed when that DIY scene was birthed, obviously post-punk, but the birth of the internet, of downloads and streams instead of actually being able to make videos and stuff like that. So the DIY thing, and you put your early shows on in a village hall anyway, which is I didn't over in Cobham and Yarmouth there wasn't a village hall, so there's no fucking putting on. So you relied on the pub. But there
was like the Brunny, there was venues then.
There was venues, and getting in them was a fucking nightmare.
Yeah, in Southwold and Halesworth Way, no
venues like that. Yeah.
So it was a case of forging our own scenes, somewhat.
So it's just something you were kind of used to anyway, but at the same time, still a lot of hard work, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yep.
So so put on our own show, and that was cool. And we were stoked that we managed to create such an interest in the show. There was a plan to it, like all the podcasts that I did for the band.
So it was a good build up and stuff like that.
Yeah, it was all about delivering the videos at the time and advertising budget at the right times. And because I kind of do that.
Somewhat, so there was an intent and a marketing, not necessarily strategy, but there was an idea that I'm going to need to build up,
of course,
to this. You say, of course, but like not many people always think about that and always do that. And if you read any sort of social media or any sort of marketing advice for your music, they tell you 3 months build up to this, do a video, do a lyric video, doing stuff like that. But it's something, obviously, it sounds to me like you were in the industry for anyway. You had a lot of good, awesome, build up and you bedrock of prior knowledge.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you don't do those things then and let people know it was there, they're not going to
exactly
turn up,
you're right. Maybe I take that for granted somewhat, that because I just know that. I mean, nowadays I was speaking to Darren about it actually in a podcast I'd done with him last year, that
I listened to it. It's brilliant hearing you guys talk about the old venues, and you filled in a lot of gaps.
Okay, cool.
For me, about Reflections, I never went. Filled in a lot of gaps about those kind of venues. Fucking and that scene. That venue. Yeah, I was laughing along with what you said about what this kind of stuff that went on there.
There was a lot of,
but you filled in a lot of good history. For me
good.
there, so I appreciate that.
But yeah, I think a lot nowadays, sort of post 2010, definitely this kind of reliance on just digital advertising, like this Facebook. Oh, we'll just put a Facebook event page up, and I'm from the time, like we said, like from before that, where that wasn't even a thing.
Sure.
So I think it all has to work hand in hand. I was actually asked the other day about this exact thing from the lady who's now doing the music and everything at the Lady of the Lake, which
Are they starting up again?
Yeah, they have.
Fabulous.
Yeah, and we went down there and pitched a show. So we're putting on another Low Stuff show in March, end of March. So we're making it a free show for the people that didn't come or didn't feel comfortable to come to the paid show, who might have brought a ticket but didn't ask for their money back, thank God. It's a show for them, basically. We're giving them another show, but for free this time. We're doing it at the Lady, and we had to go and pitch a show because we need a load of money from them to make it free.
Right.
And she has no idea who we are. So we're a couple of drunk guys going to say, can we have a shitload of money?
Can you not just make your money through the merch on that evening and stuff like that? Or does it require you
we're not making any money that night. We're getting paid, the money that we're getting paid is for paying the other acts and hiring the sound system and for the marketing to get people to the show.
Brilliant insight, absolutely brilliant insight, because venues and a lot, especially these days, will say, and anybody that's taking money, everyone thinks everyone's on the make.
Yeah.
All the frigging time, and everyone's trying to, as a musician, is trying to exploit you. You're trying to exploit the venue. You're trying to exploit people, but literally that is to cover those hidden, and they are hidden, but at the same time, the fucking sound system is right in front of you.
Yeah.
And we don't all own a 5k rig.
No. and being that, like, we're a 6-piece band, we need a certain type of sound system and a certain prowess is probably the wrong word, of person to...
That's the most pretentious thing I've heard. Excellent.
A person with knowledge, a knowledge base, preferably of our band, to be able to run the sound.
It's the thing I keep saying, in my work situation and in my music situation, make friends with a sound engineer, make friends with the IT guy, because them two people can fuck you over, and you need a decent sound guy. Exactly. Otherwise, for all your hard work, for all your years of learning the guitar, for all your push and pull of writing the songs, that guy has got the fucking treble switched off, you're fucked. You sound like you're playing really in the box.
And so most of the budget's gone on booking that and posters, but she has said to us,
you're a graphic designer as well as all the other stuff. So do you do all the artwork and all that kind of stuff as well?
All drawn.
It's brilliant. I love the Zippo lighter and stuff.
Okay,
that's superb. But you draw all the other stuff.
It's
as
all
well,
hand drawn with a Sharpie pencil. Yeah.
Do you find because I'm the graphic designer, nowhere near your standard.
Oh no, I'm a chancer, mate.
I can make stuff. I don't have any hand drawing talent whatsoever, but I can pretty much make anything anybody asks me to. They've just got to ask me and pay me the right amount of money. So I find that I've been the guy.
Yeah.
Oh, Paul does art. Let's get him to do the graphic design. Oh, Paul's good with a bit of recording stuff. Let's get him to do that. Paul's good with social media. We'll let him do that. You sound like that guy.
Yeah, 100%
for your band.
that guy.
Yeah.
That's
Are you okay with that, or do you get? Because I go through periods of time where I love it.
Yeah.
And I'm just absolutely great to be the driving force. And I've got us through. So around people contacted, mate, I've seen your social media feed and we want to book you. We've got this gig at the Hunter Club, Danny and I, for supporting this massive blues band. They're fucking blues darlings at the moment. And we're the main support, and they got us by watching our social media feed.
Okay.
It's like, fuck,
wicked,
unbelievable, over the moon. But at the same time, I'm exhausted.
Yeah.
of
100%.
Absolutely exhausted of doing another post, of keeping us current, of fucking onslaught, right?
Yeah. So my whole professional life, as in earning money, and now in music, comes from being that guy.
Yeah.
And so my nickname when we started, we all had different nicknames for each other. Mine was the director. That's what
like it.
I didn't choose it myself.
Oh, really?
I'd have chosen a much better one. But anyway, we all
Donkey Schlong.
Yeah, much better. So I always done that, and it was kind of like it's a 2000 emergence of websites starting to come out. So that's when I started getting an interest in that. And then at college, I did a module on it with. I can't remember who it was, but Johnny Cole, who now runs the Mill in Dis, he was one of my lecturers back then.
Wow, okay, great.
So that's how I first met him, and he was just setting up their studio up. Anyhow, I did a module on it, and web stuff, and then we do a bit of this because I was doing it for the band, so I'd try and put the cover together for that, and I'd do that and that, and because I was doing
one helped the other and stuff like that.
Yeah. What happened was we played a show with a band called 5 Mile Drive, who were a great band, and the drummer from that band, I think it was drummer, his name is Pierce. He's a dude. I haven't seen him in many, many years, but he's a wicked guy. He said to me, "You boys are amazing. You need to get on MySpace." And we're like, MySpace? This was years ago.
Wow, yeah.
Anyhow, so we went on MySpace, and then I designed the MySpace, and then I started getting into hacking MySpace, like making elaborate kind of pages. And then it sort of goes full circle because Matty P, who was one of the guys we used to put these gigs on in village halls, he'd met the Perry brothers, who I work with these days. He'd met them and they basically signed him on a management deal, got him a deal with Warner and everything like that.
First time I saw him, he was supporting Reef.
Reef, wicked, great tool. And he then said, "Oh, Trigg, can you do me a MySpace? I'll get you paid like out of the budget." So then I did a MySpace, got paid, and then my wife said to me, "You either get a job or you move out." So I made one up quickly. I was like, "I'm a MySpace designer."
Yeah.
So then I did that, and then I
fake it till you make it.
Exactly.
Man. Yeah.
So I basically blagged it. I mean, I was all right at it, but because I'd done a bit of web stuff and a bit of SEO stuff, I kind of got myself to number 1 in Google for MySpace designer. So then blagged with my friend Claire, who's amazing. She was working at Warner. She was throwing me loads of jobs, like Alanis Morissette, Muse.
Oh, wow. Yeah,
Green Day. REM. As soon as I started adding these to my portfolio, I was basically blagging this MySpace thing. All because I used to do it for our band, basically. That was it. And then nowadays, do this, that. I do loads of different bits and bobs, whatever. But it all came from sort of learning it by doing it for the band, being that guy.
So
and
that
you're
was the
right,
start bit,
and I'm the point of contact, and I'm the guy that sorts out the videos. I'm the guy that sorts.
So funny you should say that because I did my first design for designing EP covers for Nexus because I was a screen printer.
Okay.
And on massive large format machines, dirty as fuck in the factory, and we needed a CD cover.
Yeah.
There was I think MP3.com had even been invented. I don't know. I don't think so. So the time was that we would then buy a bunch of CDs, get them, burn them off, put stickers on, send them to all the record companies. But we didn't have a cover, so I didn't even have a computer. But so I'd seen like in the factory, I'd seen where the screens that I was using, the graphics department.
Yeah.
And there was guys in there looked to me like sipping cocktails and kicking back. They had a coffee machine, and they do the graphics. I need to know about that. So my mum had split up with a fella who was into his computers, and he'd left a 486, like a PC 486, behind after he'd moved out, and it was lying around when I was round hers one weekend. I went, what are you going to do with that? She went, I was going to sling it in a skip. I went, can I have it? She said, yeah. All right. So I took it home. And then snuck into the cupboard, the software cupboard that I'd managed to locate in the Bacardi Lounge. Yeah. At work. Yeah. Which is actually Aura Graphics down the road now. It was SSDM at the time. Snuck in there, just grabbed like armfuls of software.
Yeah. Photoshop?
Yeah. In there was Photoshop, Quark Express. Yeah. All just freehand.
Amazing.
But loaded them onto this like 486, which took forever. But I just thought that's how long computers took. Because the last time I touched a computer, I was trying to load Spy versus Spy on an Atari with 16 minutes of...
Amazing.
So I loaded this all on a thing and then just sat up every night trying to work out how to make this CD cover. And then
that's exactly kind of what I did, yeah.
And then I walked into work one day and said, I'd like a job in that office, please. And they said, well, what have you done? So I got out a CD cover. I said, I just like it. And it was terrible. It was fucking terrible. So they said, well, all right, we'll give you a chance. So, it was basically just following some really basic design briefs. But then I ended up doing stuff for like Sainsbury's, Tesco, Lawrence sites and vehicle liveries and stuff like that. And I don't do anything anywhere near as exciting or glamorous as what you do, but it's funny how...
no, I do a lot of menus, mate.
It's funny how, what is the job that I really wanted, which being a musician, ended up falling into that particular career there. I mean, how I got into being a screen printer. Yeah. Well, there was a guy who lives across the road who was screen printing T-shirts, and we wanted some T-shirts for a band.
This is it, though. But this is, like people say about making a living from music, and you have to do it this way. There's ways to make a living from music. You don't have to be... you know, like I do a lot of menus, like the heyday of all the music stuff. It's sort of slightly, still do quite a lot of it, but it's dance music, funnily enough, more so than anything else right now. But there is hope there. Do you know what I mean? That you can fund music by doing music related stuff. I don't get paid a great deal for going and be a guitar tech, and that's not all year long, or a stage manager,
but that goes into
the part. I'm self-employed,
and I think this is what you've got to fuel that passion. I was going to say, you have your videos done, how does that get funded? I know mine gets funded now, out of my bloody day job. That's why I have one, to fuel my music addiction.
In fact, we nearly touched on it earlier about this video that's going to come out for the band this month. But in July, I sort of said to the guys about the idea of doing some videos, getting a block done, and I said, rather than trying to look at someone who's done a load, I mean, this was either a genius move or a mistake. I'll let
I love those. I love those.
That one out. I was like, let's go and approach some kids, some youngsters. Okay, kids I don't mean that in that respect.
Well, like out of school gates. Hello.
Yeah, not
Would
quite.
You want to be in a video? I wouldn't do that if I were you, mate.
No, not to be in the video. But some chaps who were like set up their own business doing video, and they were doing.
Okay, so these are young, talented people, is what we're talking about, who would create a video for you.
Yes, they just come out of like university or that kind of thing, and education of some description, and they put together their own company, and they were doing a lot of videos, and it looked good, but it looked really boring and dull. And I sort of said, well, I got his number. I said, do you want to do something exciting? And we came up with this kind of concept of doing these videos.
I think you might know the one you talk about, because Danny told me you'd use some art students, and it's superb.
Okay, I wanted them to feel inspired about doing something good. It did turn out, which is why it took so long, because I don't think they had the same vision, or maybe the experience. Sure. I'm looking for positives, the way that they did it. Not that they're bad guys, but
sure. But you take these things on as what they are on the outside, don't you? They're young students looking to cut their teeth and learn something. You're a band without wanting to put your life savings into a video that needs a functional video.
I didn't want to be the guy that made the video.
Sure. Yeah.
I want to just be in it and
sounds
just
like you're doing enough already.
Yeah. Have a few beers, the guys, whatever, and just chill out. And anyway, we done 3 videos with these guys, and there was always an issue with one of them, and it's not necessarily their fault. Maybe I should have been more outspoken about at the time, but we ended up. But I wanted them to feel like they were doing something ace, and so we all chipped in and paid for them. But so the final video of what these guys have done is the one that's coming out at the end of this month. So I don't know when this will come out, but it's end of January, and it's called Put It There, and it's a sort of a reflective video. So it's kind of all stuff to do with our past and our lives and kids and memories. And
I've seen the build up. Is that what you're sharing? Were you sharing your sort of childhood photographs?
That's right.
Excellent build up.
So that's the last one they've done. So anyway, that was going back to what you originally said about 35 minutes ago. That is the next one, and then there's one more to come, which is going to be we haven't filmed it yet. We're filming it in a couple of weeks actually, but super excited about it because it's going to be, I think it's got the most elaborate idea that we've got. It's all green screen, and it's I don't want to give too much away because it's really cool, because it's going to really annoy some people. It's going to annoy, I tell you who it's going to annoy, any musician who thinks that they should be paid fairly. That's going to piss them off. It's basically, we are doing I mean, it's all a bit tongue-in-cheek, a bit of a piss take, but we are doing something that incorporates ripping the piss out of Coldplay, because we collectively all hate that band.
Yeah, no, so do I.
And Ghostbusters
I can't see what's so... I mean, I don't... Honestly, they're great songwriters and stuff like that. I don't honestly see why they garner so much, like... what do you call it? So much gravitas. Why they're so considered? So they're so revered. Yeah. I don't get it. They're all right. They're a great band.
They're all right, aren't they?
Yeah, but I don't understand why they're they're the next U2. They're not a fucking pimple on their arse.
I just don't. I don't get it. So you know, he did that free to bet.
You touched a nerve there.
He did like a free to bet or something. He written on his hand, which irritated everyone. I don't know what it was. I'm sure it was a good cause, but we're taking this concept to, and Ghostbusters 2, I don't want to give it away, but at the end of Ghostbusters 2 they did something really cool, which when I was a kid blew my mind. I had a telephone number, and I just always hear this thing about young musicians. I mean, as I said, we're doing it for us, and we really don't care. But these young musicians, and they're really hungry and keen and good on them, and they're like, oh, Spotify and this guy from BBC Six Music
don't be on it.
We're not getting paid.
We have it. So honestly, this is a concurrent theme. Like with people I speak to, about the local music scene, is that there does seem to be a cross section of young musicians, new artists, and stuff like that want it all now.
Yeah.
And they don't want to have to give anything away for free. They don't want to have to do any, cut their teeth, learn their craft and stuff like that. I just want to get paid.
Yeah.
I've played for you.
Yeah.
I deserve
exactly.
And entitlement.
There is a level, of course,
for sure.
Musicians being paid fairly.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree more. I don't want people to think that I think everyone should give their shit away forever. I think, however, you need to build something up before you start bloody charging for it.
Our band are just idiots, and we thought how much fun would it be to irritate every musician around.
Well, I'm excited to see that one.
So we're
triggered.
Yeah, that's exactly the word. It starts with triggered in the middle. Yeah, and it's not because of me, but because we want to try and really trigger people into a response. And we did that. Like, we tried to do that with a really simple video we did for some Mad Business, which is Johnny tied up in a loft.
Oh God, that was a bit too close to home.
Yeah, very close
for
to
me.
home.
It was a bit kind of like.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's a good idea.
Yeah, exactly.
He's missing. Is
so
he?
We've had people I had people texting me going, I found this poster. Is Johnny all right?
Fuck's sake.
It does say it's clearly a joke. He's wearing sunglasses in the picture. That'd be a really bad picture to use. But yeah, he's fine. It's for a video. But that was the point of it. And it was a really simple thing that we just did on a phone in one day. And again, you don't need to spend a fortune. It cost us, the budget for that video was zero. We actually spent about 50 quid on beer at the harbour because we got sick of doing the video. So we all went to the harbour and got pissed.
Replacing all those beers I drank at your listening party.
Yeah. Well, you'll be pleased to know, at the Lady of the Lake,
I'll be coming to that
we're
one.
Bringing they've asked for some beer, so we're taking a barrel that's going to be on there.
Great.
They get a good deal. So again, we don't make any money from it, but the brewery gets to sell a load of beer.
Yep.
They get it. The pub get it at a great price. So
You're
they
also
can
not just playing the gig yourself. You've got 3 other bands on there.
It's one other band at that gig,
and a DJ.
Darren's
so
DJ.
That's a whole, excellent. Which is a night's worth of it, isn't it? It's great value.
And a band called Temple Jets, who wicked, and they are three of the guys who used to be in Crawl Blind.
Yes, I remember Crawl. Was that John who was in Crawl Blind?
It was, but that's not him in this band. No. It's his brother Matt.
Fifth season he had before that as well, didn't they?
I don't know. Yeah, maybe.
Yeah, might be before your time.
No, I remember the name.
Fifth season. Yeah. I'm picking up the wrong beer.
But yeah, so. Yeah, there'll be our beer there. But again, it's about just trying to support local businesses and try and do something, think outside the box and not be local.
Create a scene, and creating a scene doesn't have to necessarily be local and stuff like that, does it? It's trying to create something that's an atmosphere, that's a feeling, it's a philosophy that hopefully everybody will get something out of, right?
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Like why like I said originally, just go and do it, and then you are doing it. So just go and put on a gig, or go and book a gig.
Yep.
And then go, well, does this look right? Or then make it look right.
You're afraid of failure. It's the whole, am I getting paid for this? What am I getting out of this? Well, you might get nothing.
Yeah.
You might get absolutely fuck all out of it. But you know what? That's kind of all right, isn't it? Because surely it's the journey. Because you turn around and say, they're not going to remember that the gig was a huge success. We put on a gig is the story you're telling.
Yeah, and a load of people turned up and we had a great time.
Yeah. Or nobody turned up and we got pissed.
Well, yeah,
it's still a good story, right?
One man and his dog. Yeah. I mean, that's a true story. I mean, and it is really important that, we, as a band, never earn... When we did all our gigs, at one point we were maybe doing 5 gigs, 6 gigs, 6 gigs a month. But we weren't doing. We didn't ever tour because we could just.
And this is original music as well, then.
Yeah, so we were doing. But we wouldn't play around here. So we'd do a London show, a Leicester show. Wherever it was, and then we'd hit a Lowestoft show, and then we'd play Lowestoft maybe once every month or every couple of months maybe. But we were really conscious of playing too much, but we were busy. We never earned any money. But it's that journey. So when we did show, we went out and played a show out in Serbia with I can't remember who was there that year. Some mate acts. We did one year with Snoop, but this was the year I can't remember who was there. don't know, load of cool bands. But
Yeah.
we went out and did it, and we were just like, you know, in our 20s.
Yeah.
We had a disabled bus, and we had loaded up on booze. And we stopped in Belgium, loaded up on fags, and then we drove across Europe.
Yeah.
Like with a crew.
Yeah.
To go and play a show where we were putting up in a hotel.
Yeah.
And we didn't earn any money.
No, all my touring around as a young lad, I never earned an absolute bean. I mean, I did a tour of America.
Yeah.
Like I said, we were on TV like 30 odd times with stuff like that. We did a tour of Europe and stuff like that. I never earned an absolute bean. It was literally to cover the expenses of a hotel and the flights and stuff like that. Never earned a frigging thing. And you know, I'm not doing so much happening anymore because it was so fucking long ago. But you know, I would come back to school the following week. You know, so I remember we did a 2-week tour of America, and we took in like Disney and you know, Good Morning America in oh god bloody hell, in New York, and in Nashville. We played the Grand Ole Opry in Nashville now, and I came back and everyone was like, "So you must be rich now then?"
Yeah.
Well, no, I didn't earn a fucking bean. It was literally they paid for the airfare and thing and meals, and that was it.
That's it. Your
was literally
PDs
survival.
and then done. Yeah.
End of the 2 weeks, you're back to Civvy Street, mate. Off we go. And but you know what? What a fucking excellent story, eh? And what stuff to be able to say that you've done. So do it for. I know it's a cliche. Do it for the crack is what we're saying.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah.
And if you can fund it by doing something else with music, whether it's like web design or making a cover or whatever it is.
You're in the industry, aren't you?
You are in it.
And if not, then stick it into your music anyway and have a wonderful time. Well, look, man, we've been chatting for a long old while now.
Sure
I really appreciate you coming over and sharing your wealth of experience with us, dude. It's been really educational for me, and I hope for everybody else as well.
I hope I haven't rambled too much.
Not at all, buddy. Absolute perfect amount of rambling. But come back another day and have another chin wag about something else. I'll see if I can get some other musos in, and we'll just have a good old. We'll talk over each other and. Compare schlongs, or whatever it is.
Oh, let's do that. That sounds great. Let's do that.
Richard, take it easy, man, and I'll speak to you soon.
Yeah, cheers, Paul.
Bye-bye.